A very good afternoon, everyone. So today is Bharat Bandh. I hope the farmers they put demand they are putting government will resolve it soon. Otherwise, the economic loss we have this year it's now quite high because I think with farmers, transportation system is also these transporters are also on the strike. So that's breaking this channel of supply because raw material and all this supply channel is totally depend upon the transporters. But if we see the record of this government, it's really hard to break them. Yes, they hardly disagree with whatever they have done, either it's wrong or right. To them, it's hardly matter. Okay, so now come back to the new topic. Now we have a qualitative dependent variable is always present first. Sadik Pallavi, Natanya Yamini. Okay, okay, okay. Let's 1 or 2 minutes wait for others. Maybe they will join. Okay, so the topic is now from today onward for this next coming 4 or 5 days. Qualitative dependent variable. So far, in the part two and part three, the maximum illustrations and examples we have taken is for quantitative dependent variable. So for that, it's four combinations, as I told you: qualitative, quantitative, then cross-sectional, and time series. So these four combinations make different types of models. These are the broad categories, although there are so many other models within a specific particular category. So far, we have done this quantitative. Okay, and these four categories are for both dependent variable and independent variable. So far, we have done, as far as dependent variable is concerned, we have done only maximum cross-sectional data and quantitative variable. For independent variable, we have done both qualitative variables, that's dummy variable case, quantitative as well, and maximum is cross-sectional time series data. Now, before jumping to the time series case, first I want to take this dependent variable with qualitative dependent variable. Qualitative means nominal scale, where we can only count the particular frequency in that particular category. So nominal scale, where if dependent variable is nominal scale, so how it would change the results and what are the problems, then what methods we can apply. So we are now going to start with qualitative dependent variable. Independent, there is no such restriction. It might be qualitative or quantitative. That won't change our results. Only the thing is that dependent variable is now qualitative. Okay, so first let's see what these problems are with this specific category. What are the models and why that particular models we have to use in place of this general simple OLS models. Okay, so let me ask you this. Any one of you, okay, if our dependent variable is qualitative, let me take this example. Let's suppose, okay, this particular case, let me take that whether any particular student master students or PhD students will attend my course, I'm giving it 1 and 0 if not. Now let's suppose for the upcoming series, I have received 60 queries. Total my sample size is 60. So far, I have received 60 queries. So I want to know that what is the probability that out of these 60s, how many of them are going to join my course? So this is the question. For that, I want to know the answer. Because then accordingly, I arrange the resources. Like, let's suppose I have to invite some expertise in any specific part, or I have to spend some extra resources for the participants. Then I need some extra money, like many others. Let's suppose I want to add another software with this series, R software, or so many other things which are depend upon this outcome, that whether I have participants or not. Similarly, in the commerce section, these companies have these decisions that whether particular individual buy that particular phone or not. Let's suppose Apple announced some new model or Samsung announced some new model, and they want to know whether particular individual buy their phone or not. They want to know that probability. Or let take it example in medical field. Generally, as you know, that doctors answer maximum of questions in percentages, in probabilities. There is no certain answers like that. If you take this particular medicine every day, then how much is the change in your health? It's not like that, right? You don't know the exact one-to-one relations. That's not possible to know in medical sciences. So they actually give you the answer in the probabilities. That let's suppose take a case of cancer. So the chances, let's suppose any particular individual have cancer, and after particular treatment like this chemotherapy or other therapies, what are the chances that particular individual will survive or he'll get back soon to his previous situation? Then our dependent variable is something present or absence. I'm taking a binomial case. Dichotomous only two values, although there it's not only that you have in categorical nominal scale only two outcomes. I'm just taking this as a simple case, presence and absence. 1 and 0, like after particular treatment he will be better, 1, otherwise 0. Or after treatment, what is the probability that he will survive? Or any particular operation, what is the probability that particular patient will survive or not? Similarly, you buy a car or not, or any particular mobile phone. So these are the dependent variables. I'm taking first simple form. It's a discrete choice, and I'm taking a first binomial outcome, dichotomous. Means only two possible outcomes, 1 and 0. So if our y variable means our dependent variable is in this particular form, that have only two values, 1 or 0, or any other two values, 1 or 2 codes that you can give, then these are the OLS models we are applied earlier. Let's suppose I'm taking this course example, that whether any particular he or she will join my course, 1, 0 if not. And X is, let's suppose first I'm taking income, then time, whether he or she will be free at that particular time or not. Third, whether he or she will be aware about the uses and advantages of this course or not. There are a number of independent variables. So now can anyone if you tell me that if I apply simple OLS here, what will be the problem? Anyone of you? Yes, what I want to know here is that let's suppose this is my first is the income variable. Let's suppose I know this data I have. Second, it's time availability. Third, course, whether using PhD or masters, and so on. So if this is my model, and if I simply run OLS, then is it first, yes. Is there any particular problem with OLS or not? That's my first question. And if yes, then what are the problems with OLS method? Any one of you? Okay, I was present today. Okay. Neha, Pallavi, Shreya, Somya, or Yamini, any one of you. What are the, is there any specific problem with OLS method here? Yes or no? If not, then it's okay. And if you think there is a problem, then what do you think? What are the problems with the OLS method here? We are only concerned with these parameters, estimates, betas, because that only what I want to know. That how this income is related with this particular decision, how the time availability and other independent variables, that information I have. My concern is with that, how these things will affect this particular outcome. Well, let's suppose any particular doctor is doing a research or an economic health economist is doing this research and he wants to know that how these different factors affect this outcome of whether person will have this cancer disease or not. Let's suppose he took this study and he tried to find his eating habits, that what actually they eat, then is there anything harmful they are consuming like alcohol or cigarettes or this pan and tobacco. They did, let's suppose one is doing this research, then how they can know these final results? First, I'm asking whether can we apply OLS here or not. That's my first question. Then, if we can apply, then what are the problems? Yeah, same is like are you, yeah, consequences of OLS in dummy variable case. Although we won't say this dummy because dummy generally we use this term when we have a independent variable as a qualitative. So that just in econometrics books they to differentiate they have always use this dummy case for the independent variables. But yes, the nature of variable is same for the quality, whether it's dependent or independent. We won't get the expected or mean value of y. We won't get expected y. Tanya, I don't think that's the problem here. Means generally when we apply this overlays, that's always give us the expected value, right? So if we have this data, definitely software will give us this result. Like let's suppose I have this particular data, whether particular individual is traveling by car or not, and I have an independent variable income, then traveling cost. Let's suppose I simply apply the OLS, regress, my dependent variable is choice, then income, and then let's see, I'll see this AV plot for income. We can get expected mean value by analysis of variance in regression models having dummy variable. No, it's not dummy variable case. I'm talking about dependent variable, not independent. That's totally different. Dummy variable is your independent qualitative variable. It's not independent qualitative variable. I'm saying my dependent variable is qualitative. That's totally different thing. Dummy variable is that when any of this x or independent variable is in qualitative form. That's the different thing. If Nimisha is present, she already did this course in, I think, masters. I think in econometrics they have this. Okay, let me give you a hint. Just try to think in form of correlation. This regression technique is generally a, let me say, some advanced form of correlation, because if you remember from your bachelor's, when you do this correlation and regression formulas, they are quite similar, right? This is some same technology that we are using in regression, the correlation methods, but in regression we specifically use OLS methods generally. So just think in form of correlation, what will happen when we have a dependent variable with only two possible outcomes. So software will apply. Like I had applied this regression here. It is not refusing, it's giving me the results. But the thing is, I have to know whether this is a appropriate form of this particular model or not. Okay, now let me get back to correlation method first. Yes, that's true. These are the problems with the OLS, and this is the one of that problem that residuals are not normally distributed. That that's true that it violates one of the OLS assumptions, but I'm asking that is there any specific technical issue also here? Although the software is giving the results, that means that it can apply. First, just try to understand what is the problem is. Then we can, yeah, then we will study this. What are the problems? And this, yes, this residual is one of the problems that it will create. because it's not normally distributed. So that's one of the problem. But first, just think, is it appropriate that you can apply OLS to this particular method? Generally, when we have any two variables like quantitative variables, we have the scatter plots, right? That's what I'm taking this hypothetical case when there is a positive correlation. So how these techniques generally work? This correlation, regression, these are generally covariance. In the very basics, these are from the covariances, and the covariances, what we have done is that we have, if two variables we have, and what generally we do is that we take deviations from the mean, y minus y mean, x minus x mean. And when we multiply this and take summation, that's our covariance. Divide by n, that's our covariance. But this technique is generally is that we are actually trying to look upon the forms of these two variables. Let's suppose this is the y mean. So how y is responding around the mean. If they both are responding in a similar manner, then we have positive correlation. When we have positive correlation, when if y is moving in a positive direction and x is also in a positive means deviation, that if y is more than the mean and x is also more than the mean, it means they are both in this particular quarter, right? If y is negative means it is less than mean and x is also less than mean, then for this both the cases, this is the quadrant, right? Now positive because we multiply in the covariance technique, so outcome will be positive. In this case again positive. So if we have these two type of cases, means in this quadrant and this quadrant, then we generally get these results like positive covariance or correlation factor. Now if it will be high or low, that depend upon this range, that how near these points are. If they are nearby, means in a small particular range, that means they are moving in some particular direction, there will be a high correlation. If they are scattered in all the quadrants, that means few are positive, then negative, positive, negative. So generally these results will cancel out and correlation will become nearby zero. So here we use this particular method, and same method we use in the regression. What will be the, if I take this bivariate case, if you remember this beta 2 hat value, the numerator is summation xy by summation xi square, right? This xy is what? This is the xy, this deviation form in the numerator. Again, we are following this covariance method in the OLS methodology. Now, what will be the problem if we have only two values? That means either y has 1, means these are the values, or 0. Means only the two possible outcomes, right? Either they have a 1 or 0. So y is only 1 and 0. The remaining values are from the x, not from the y. This binomial graphs are like generally y has only two possible values, 1 or 0. So it depends upon the x. Let's suppose this is my participant is joining the course or not joining the course. And x is my variable is income. So those who are not joining the course, they have some income levels, right? Similarly, those who are joining, they have some income levels, right? So now this is the graph. Now you think again. Now I think this difference is clear to all of you, that this situation is totally different from this situation, right? So can we apply this covariance techniques here again? That was my question. This OLS is generally a covariance, then covariance converted into a correlation because we need some particular number that tell us whether it's a high or low. That's not possible with the covariance. And that same math logic then used in the OLS method, but because of the different type of variables and data sets and nature of variables, there are so many assumptions in that particular method to prove the blue properties. Now think again. Let's suppose we apply the OLS. It will give us this regression line. Let's suppose it will give us this regression line. Now, because if you apply OLS, that definitely give a regression line, right? Might be positive, might be negative. Now just think, if we have this type of graph, can we apply OLS? First, you have to think theoretically that what you are applying. So if our dependent variable is like this, is just I'm taking binomial, but it's not necessary that it's binomial. It might be ordered or nominal. But first I'm taking simplicity, for simplicity, simple case, this ordered case, sorry, binomial case. Now again I'm asking, can we apply OLS these type of data sets? And if you apply, let's suppose we applied and we have regression line. Now what will be the first problem? Besides technical problems, like one of the problems, Sadiq sir, I'll come to that what are the technical problem, like this assumption problem, and there are 2 or 3 other problems. What do you think, what will be the major challenge here if we apply the OLS and we have this particular regression line? What will be the main problem that we will face here? Anyone? I know I'm asking very basic questions, but the thing is, from my experience, I had known that uh, students know the methodology, the softwares, how we apply the models and everything. But why they are doing that particular thing, that's the missing part. From my experience, not necessarily that all of you have the same experience, but that's what I found, that it's the very basic background that why that particular thing they are doing this. You can go in university and ask that how we apply logit model, they will explain you derivation logit model problems with the OLS, but why we apply logit model or why not? What is the base for that? That's what I am asking. Okay, I hope now at least you have this idea that OLS is not going to work here. The thing is, why not going to work? There are 2 parts. One, technical. What are the technical problems? And second, theoretical problems. Why? Now the question here is why we generally apply the regression. We have correlation, right? Regression is the next step of the correlation. We apply regression generally to find impact of one variable on the another variable. That's the what we here we are doing, this dependent independent, that correlation can only tell whether they are correlated or not, highly or low, positive or negative. These 3 answers correlation give, but it's not that with the change in x, how much is the change in y. That answer only gives this regression, and that's why we apply the regression. Otherwise, we don't know this econometrics at all. To take specific decisions, we need these answers. That if we change, like this farmers protest. Now, the question here is that if government won't withdraw these bills, then what will be the outcome? Are farmers going to lose in their incomes in coming years? We not only know this, don't want to know this yes and no answers. Actually, we need the exact answer, that how much will be going to the impact of this particular laws on the farmer's income. We need specific answers, and for that generally we apply the regression. We need specific quantitative answers. What will be the impact of one variable on the another variable? That's the idea behind the regression. Now here the thing is that, let's suppose this is our regression line. What you will predict from this regression line? You will say that if X will increase by this much of unit, Y will increase by this much of unit. But that's not at all the situation is. The situation is that whether that particular individual will do that particular thing or not, or he or she have that particular thing or not, yes or no. So that's what the answer we need in a probabilities. That's the one limitation here, that it's not possible, and then we need it in a probability. So it's not possible that it's more than one, right? Regression might give you. These are the technical problems with the OLS methodology. We can't simply apply the to predict or forecast simply the OLS and we can conclude the results, because only there are two possible outcomes for the dependent variables. So we can't apply OLS. That's not an appropriate method for these situations. Now, first I'll take this technical problems, like one of that already Sadiq sir has explained, that it will create a problem in residual first. Okay, so let me take the problem, I think, and I don't know why. Okay, is it clear that we can't apply OLS, direct OLS method? That's not an appropriate method. Now, first let's look upon the technical problems. If we apply this OLS in these situations, that we generally say linear probability models, LPM methods. So if we apply simple OLS, in this case, then we have a qualitative dependent variable. In a binomial case, 1 and 0. So the technical problem is, first, as Sadiq sir is told, the residual term. Now, residual term here observe only two values, right? Probability of that particular thing, or 1 minus probability. But for a normal distribution, residual terms, this value needs to be a random. Then only it will give us the normal distribution, and that's one of the assumptions that we took, that it's randomly distributed. Now here it's because of the binomial situation. Now residual term will absorb these two values only. If it will be 0, then the y value, and if it's 1, so only two possible values for. So ui cannot be assumed to be normal distributed. They follow a Bernoulli distribution. That's the one technical problem if we apply OLS in this particular case. And why is that particular situation? Because ui is actual y minus y hat. Now, actual y here only have two values, 1 or 0. And it have a number of values, beta 1 hat plus beta 2 hat and x. There is no restriction on x. But here there is a restriction, right? So it's not a random value, means it's not a normal distribution. It's a Bernoulli. It's either 1 minus this particular value or 0 minus. So only two values this particular UI will absorb. So that's not, no, sorry, not two values, but range between 0 and 1, and that's a Bernoulli distribution in this particular case. If it's negative values as well, then positives. So it's not a normal distribution. So we can't apply. That's the one reason for OLS, non-applicability of OLS. Second, heteroscedasticity. These are the technical problems, not a theoretical problem. Generally, we have this situation that variance will not change with the change in the levels of independent variables. But in this LPM case, it will change, because again, in the Bernoulli distribution, as we know that variance is pi into 1 minus pi, or that we generally do in bachelor's, p into 1 minus q. So again, this variance will change with depend upon the x. At homostaticity is that the variance of this residual term is not depend upon the independent variable. That's a constant that we say homostaticity. But in this case, you can see this pi value is what the probability when this is a 1, y is 1, beta 1 plus beta 2 xi. So it means variance is depend upon the x variable. That's the case of heteroscedasticity. That's another problem. But for heteroscedasticity, we know that we have some weighted methods, and we can apply this generalized least square methods. Another problem is that probability is only between 0 and 1. But from this regression line, you can get this idea that it's not that this OLS results will give us only results between 0 and 1. Might be more than 1, might be a negative. But probability is not possible more than 1 or less than 0. And there is no some such negative probability. And then the another problem, I think that's Neha is telling this. No, Neha is not telling. With the R square, the usual R square, that is a measure of goodness of fit. And this R square again is the square of this correlation factors. So as I am telling you that this whole covariance method is not possible, and that's not a good way to look upon this particular thing. So these are the technical problems with the OLS method. I hope these points are clear. If anyone of you still have any doubt, just go with this Gujarati. For this basic concept, you can get this idea that why these problems are with the OLS. The major cause is this particular thing, that now we have only two possible outcomes. Either 0, that's 1 minus that particular pi value, and 1. And this will create this particular problem for OLS. It's now Bernoulli distribution. So what will be the solution then? If this is the problem, means we have these four problems: heteroscedasticity, non-normality of residual terms, it's not normal distribution, it's a Bernoulli distribution. R square, it's not a measure of goodness of fit, and non-fulfillment of value between 0 and 1. So these are the four technical challenges with the OLS method. If we apply OLS in these situations, so first is this, as Sadiq sir told, residual is not normally distributed, heteroscedasticity, non-fulfillment between fulfillment of 0 between 0 and 1, and R square is not a measure of goodness of fit. These are the four challenges with OLS if we apply OLS, and this is generally we say linear probability model, LPM method. Now we need solution for these. So these models like logit and probit, these are the solutions for these problems. That's the one reason that we apply these models. So first, I'm going to take a case of logit model first, then probit. But before that, just try to understand that in qualitative dependent variable case, for the discrete outcomes, there are 3 or 4 combinations that is possible. First, simple binomial case, discrete outcome, that is 1 and 0, presence and absence. This is we say discrete outcome. Second, ordinal outcome. For example, Likert scale that we use satisfactory, when highly satisfactory. At Likert scale, when you do this ranking, let's suppose 1, 2, 3, 4, some ranking, ordinal outcome. That's a different type of dependent variable. Then nominal outcomes, although these are all the nominal cases, but in this econometrics methodology, these variables in dependent variable, they are divided accordingly, and for these we have a different models. Nominal outcomes, like for example, social group like ST, SC, OBC, others. Now, it's not ranking, right? Means this is just a categories. This is a nominal outcome. Then count outcomes. That is where you can count specific, like for example, count. I don't have an example for the count case. This is the case of where we apply this Poisson regression. Anyone if you have an example? I'm not getting any example right now. It is like the property of Poisson distribution when something happened during some interval. Let's pause. Let's suppose in a road in a 1 hour, there 2 accidents happened, like Poisson distribution. That count outcomes. That is means something happening out of some specific interval. That's also a case of this choice model, discrete choice models, this quantitative dependent variables. So these are the 4 different type of, these are the basic different types that we study. Then censored or censored, like only for specific range. Only for this specific range, means not for the all this truncated part. That's the censored models. Example, let's suppose you want to study only a specific range of education level from 5 to 15 years of education, or in a wage more than some specific, like suppose we have this minimum wage act, right? So if these some of these types of dependent variables you have, then these simple OLS methods are not applicable. But first let's try to understand these 4. These are the limited outcomes. This is some it's not purely qualitative variables. I'll take it in the end, this censored outcome. But first just try to understand these 3: discrete, ordered, and nominal. So these are the 3 possible combinations in your dependent variable, where you have this best problem of the OLS method. So initially I'm going to take this first simple case. Then I'll take for this case as well this probit model. Okay. I think these are clear, these 4 cases. Censored I take later on. I'll give you some examples of censored outcomes as well. Count is clear. This is, I think, out of some specific interval. The same like the Poisson. This we studied normal distribution, polynomial distribution, Poisson distribution. Specific probability out of some interval. And generally, these are the rare cases that we study in Poisson, right? Poisson distributions. That's this 4th case here. So now I'm going to take a first one, and this graph I explained that this is the problem with the first one, that 1 and 0 is the thing. These are the 4 problems we have. The next thing is what will be the solution then? This for reference reading for this. Okay, please note down this reference reading for this type of variables. This is regression model for discrete and limited dependent variables by Michael R. Frohn, Research Institute on Addictions, New York. This is a really good paper where you will get these examples. Okay, now what will be the solution? You have this 4 problem with the OLS methodology, and this is about the case of dependent variable. So first case is logit and probit. They are solutions for these specific problems. That's why we apply this logit and probit model. And because as we know that these type of models are applicable everywhere, like I'm saying in the medical sciences, in commerce, whether particular individual buy that thing or not, is in the commerce, and then in economics as well. For example, one will become in a below poverty line or not. Let's suppose you want to know uh, casual workers, what are the chances that they will become now in below poverty line after this unemployment crisis in this corona. There are so many things that you can do with the this logit models. Means किसी भी तरह का आप रिसर्च क्वेश्चन इससे स्टडी कर सकते हो, and they are quite interesting. Let me give you one example. This is one paper I am taking from EPW. For example, to give you example about the employed unemployed. Let's suppose you have this dependent variable employed or unemployed, and you want to know the impact of these factors like age. This paper is specific for women, female workers. So they have tried to find the impact of these variables. This is the outcome, and outcome here is binary 1 and 0, employed or unemployed. Independent variables are age, marital status, education, social group, generally in the qualitative form, dummy form, religion, household size, land possessed, MPC quintile, and one geographical factor, western, central, northeast, north, and south. More or less socio-geographic economic factors. And this is the outcome. So all these results are in probability form. So this is let's say this is your research question, that you want to know the impact of these factors on this outcome, employed or unemployed, or self-employed in agriculture or other type of work, agriculture wage worker or other type of work, in non-agriculture or other works. Similarly, let's suppose I want to know whether individual will work as regular wage in service sector or not, what are the probabilities, and you have n number of independent variables. So this is the another example. This in labor studies, in many papers you will find this logistic models. Okay, so the next thing is that first how it solved these 4 problems of OLS method. So I'm going to take it one by one. First, what this logit model is all about, and what is its methodology. So first, this logit model. Anyone of you what this logit model is? That how it came in picture, what this is all about? Anyone of you, if you have ever studied this models in graduation and post graduation? Last time I was in my RDC, the Dean of Academic Research. There is one professor there from political science. He said in research two things are important. First, how, and second, why. If you are doing any research and you ask these 2 questions, why and how, that's what research is all about. So first, if you have any research question, the why content, why that particular thing. Second, how. That's our methodology part, right? And that was quite simple explanation he gave me, but it's really in-depth knowledge we know need to do about it. Generally, what we do in research, we do what according to him, that's not a research. I think old fellow from JNU in 70s and 80s. This is not a research according to him, but I am also agreed with him that that's true. Why and how is the research and other things that we do? That's not a core research. These are the basic things. Okay, you have in syllabus not studied yet. Okay, no problem. Okay, so I'm taking this studies from the Gujarati as well. After these problems, explaining these problems, in Gujarati you will find these examples and solution for these problems. They have started with this logit model. But the background picture of this logit model is that we need some function that give us value between 0 and 1. The second important thing is that maximum of the values either lie in the 1 or the 0, right? So this is a cumulative distribution function. This is one of the functions in the probability that they have used in the logistic distribution as a logistic distribution function. So this is a cumulative distribution function which ensures this thing that value will lie between 0 and 1. And it's not a same like some linear function type of thing. No, it's not a linear function, but it makes sure that values lie between 0 and 1. So this CDF function generally we use in this logistic regression. This is the logistic equation. Expected value if y outcome is 1 given the x variable, and 1 upon 1 plus exponential raised to power. This is a CDF function, cumulative distribution function, and that we use intentionally because we need value between 0 and 1. So if we put this in form of this specific form, that we say as logistic distribution function. First, just try to understand these equations. Last, what we are doing, we are running the regression on these equations, right? Now, in place of this simple linear regression equation, now we have an equation in this particular form. Probability of happening of that particular thing or presence of that particular thing, that is 1 upon 1 plus exponential raised to power. This equation is of a cumulative distribution function. Now, in this particular equation, here we are putting our regression equation. So when we use this function, that is generally say logistic distribution function. So this is the reason why we use logit, because of those all four. I'll come to these three problems as well. That what will happen after applying these models to the normality of this residual term, then heteroscedasticity and R square thing. But first, let's try to see this is the solution for 0 and 1. Now these two equations are similar. This is just a mathematical thing. Either you can use this one or this one, both are same, both will give us the same results. So for simplicity to regression equation for the right hand side, they have written Z. So either of these equations we can use to estimate the parameters, that is our logistic distribution function. So in place of simple regression equations that earlier we are using, now we are going to use this logistic distribution function. Anyone, any doubt here? This is a cumulative distribution function equation. It's not something that we have derived. Specific distribution here we are using. Is it clear to everyone? The estimation is the next part, that okay, if this is the function we are going to estimate the results, then what will be the methodology? Is it same like OLS we are going to use or some another methodology? Is it clear? Let's suppose dependent variable is whether individual own a house or not. And independent variable is income. X is income, and this is the outcome. So earlier what we are using y equal to beta 1 hat plus beta 2 hat x and residual, and we applied OLS methodology to estimate these two parameters. Now, since we know that we can't apply OLS methodology here, so we are going to use this cumulative distribution function. That means probability of this particular outcome, that was expected value of y is equal to 1 given the xi is equal to 1 upon 1 plus exponential raised to power minus beta 1 hat plus beta 2 hat xi. So this is the now change. Earlier we, for expected value of y given the xi, we have beta 1 hat plus beta 2 hat given the xi. This was the earlier situation where we are applying the OLS methodology. But since we can't apply OLS here, now we are using this cumulative distribution function. This is the form of cumulative distribution function. And if we write it in logistic form, this is equivalent to, for simplicity, let me write it as 1 plus exponential raised to power z, and this z is this particular equation. So next thing is, now how we estimate this beta 1 and beta 2. Okay, this is the, let's suppose we have this function and we can write it in form of logistic. The second problem is that how we estimate these results. Anyone of you? Can we apply OLS here? Means I have this equation. Can I apply OLS here? OLS method to estimate this beta 1 and beta 2? Obviously, this is a non-linear, right? This is a Pallavi is saying no. Why, Pallavi? Yeah, we can't apply, but is the reason? Yes, non-linear. Which part of it is non-linear? Yeah, non-linear in parameters. Because in OLS we had assumed that parameters are linear, not the dependent variable, independent variable. That's x might be linear, non-linear, any form, but these parameters needs to be linear. And they are not linear, so we can't apply OLS here. So in these cases, we have an option of another methodology that is maximum likelihood estimation. So before estimating these results with this logistic model, first you have to understand this thing, this MLE methodology, because generally these results we estimate with the MLE methodology. So I'm just going to give you this brief explanation about this MLE methodology. Just two idea, because it's your choice, means you want to go in detail about the estimation of these estimates, the derivation part of this logistic models. You can do that, but because of the time constraint, I'm going to explain you this what this MLE methodology is about, and then how we estimate this logit estimate this beta 1 and beta 2 with the Stata software, and how we interpret those results. Are these interpretations are similar like we are doing in the other models, or these interpretations are totally different? So before that, first today we will first we do this MLE methodology, then we will do this logit with the Stata software. That we will do tomorrow. Today just try to understand this MLE. So far, before that, I hope it's clear that if we have this binomial type of dependent variable or qualitative, if we apply simple OLS, that is linear probability model, it will create four problems, and for solutions for those problems is this logit and probit model that depend upon the situation. Like I told, these are four different combinations of dependent variable are possible. It might be this discrete, ordered, nominal, count. It's not that you can apply only simple logit and probit in all the four cases. No. In this case, we have to apply multinomial logit. In this case, we have to apply ordered logit model. In this case, we have to apply simple logit model. In this case, we can't apply either logit or probit model. Then we have a Poisson regression. So based upon these qualitative dependent variables, there are different models. So for time, with the time constant, it's not possible for me to explain all the models, but I'll take these basic models like logit model, probit model, and truncated model, because these are you will see these in the maximum research papers. So at least then you have this idea that how you interpret those results. And second, if you want to apply that particular same type of methodology in your research question, that how you can apply that methodology. So keeping that in mind, I have selected this specific content in this particular course. Otherwise, there are so many models. AMP-logit, count, Poisson regression model, order regression models that depend upon a situation. But this derivation, this estimation part, you won't get this easily from these textbooks. Means I think Gujarati, Madala, Kotsianis, Woolrich, all these four textbooks, they don't have this derivation part of logic, these models. They explained these models, but not the estimation. That like we did the derivations for OLS estimates with matrix method and bivariate, that derivation is not there. Anyhow, if you need those derivations as well, then maybe whenever I will do that in future, you are most welcome to join for those derivation parts only. Okay. So first, now we have to understand the MLE, because this is now non-linear. So we can't simply apply the OLS method, then we need some another method. So one of those method is MLE method. So as for my knowledge is concerned, I only know these two methods, MLE and OLS. Although there are few other methods as well these days, but I only, from derivational part, I only understand these two methods. Okay, so first see this, what this MLE is all about. This derivation is given here, but my purpose is to explain the back behind the MLE, that what this methodology is all about. More or less, it's just a reciprocate of the OLS method, which is given in, I think, in chapter 4 in Gujarati. Anyone of you ever done this MLE method? Yeah, in appendix it's given. Okay, so this is a different thing from the OLS methodology. Is totally a different thing. This is a joint probability density function. Okay, so just get this point that what is the methodology in this particular thing. Okay, this formula thing I'll come later on. First try to understand it theoretically. KMLD or OLS में difference क्या है? Okay, any one of you with the graph, not with the equations. Can you explain me that what is the difference between MLE and OLS? This is a regression equation. This is y dependent variable, x independent variable. These gaps indicate residual. You had. Now first let's try to understand what OLS is doing and what MLE will do. Okay, first OLS. What we are doing in OLS? Any one of you? But OLS is about. What is the methodology in OLS to estimate these parameters? This MLE and OLS we are going to use to estimate these parameters only. If they are linear, we have OLS method. If they are non-linear, then we are going to use MLE method. But what is the theory behind these two methods? OLS में हम क्या करते हैं? Any one of you remember that first step? Those of you who are in the part 3. Is Divya is present? No. Nimisha, no. Okay, so maximum of them are absent, those who are in the part 3. Okay, their choice. I am not going to help them. Yes, in OLS we are minimizing. क्या minimize कर रहे थे? हम बीटा 1 बीटा 2 इस तरह से estimate कर रहे थे कि ये gap zika is present. No. See guys, I know you all have done this in masters and bachelor's honors. If you have done that, means most of you have done these things. But these basic questions, even I had done this 3 or 4 times. It's not that I only done it, but I done it in masters and in the MPhil, and again I read this 4 and 5 times, and still whenever I studied these courses, I find new explanations. They are quite reasonable. So since Maximov still remain absent from the classes, I don't have any other way to help them. That, and if they think that they are going to apply, let's suppose you are not applying this specific logic model in your PhD, but अगर आप कोई research paper पढ़ रहे हो, let's suppose वो आपके study से related है, and in economic research papers we know that in these international journals, maximum research papers they have these models, right? तो हम कम से कम रिसर्च पेपर को पढ़ने के लिए तो वो मॉडल आना चाहिए कि उसमें जो आंसर्स हैं उसका मीनिंग क्या है. तो अगर आप इकोनॉमिक्स में हो, आप अप्लाई करो चाहे ना करो, आपको रिसर्च पेपर पढ़ने के लिए, किसी का टर्म पेपर है वो पढ़ने के लिए, इन फ्यूचर इफ यू गो इन दिस टीचिंग जॉब, आपके पास जो अदर्स असाइनमेंट्स आएंगी वो सारे आपको देखने के लिए मैथोलॉजीज तो सारी आनी चाहिए. अब उस टाइम पे नहीं आता होगा तो प्रॉब्लमेटिक होता है, आप सब कितना स्किप करोगे. सो अगर इकोनॉमिक्स में हो तो आप इसको स्किप नहीं करते, इट्स नॉट दैट वी हैव अ चॉइस, ये कहीं ना कहीं से डील करना ही पड़ता है, एंड इन माय एक्सपीरियंस एज वेल। जो मुझे नहीं आते मैं क्या करता हूँ, मैं उसको नहीं पढ़ता, राइट मीन्स लेट्स सपोज कोई एडवांस मॉडल है, कुछ मुझे नहीं आता, मैं स्किप करता हूँ, बट चॉइस नहीं है, बट अब आता ही नहीं है तो स्किप कर रहा हूँ। सो आई सजेस्ट यू कि आप इसको एटलीस्ट थ्योरेटिकली इसको समझ लो, मेथड आए ना आए, यू आर इन नाउ पीएचडी, आपको नहीं वो एग्जाम्स नहीं पास करने, बट आपको एटलीस्ट का बैकग्राउंड पता रहे। यस, ओएलएस में हम इसको मिनिमाइज कर रहे थे, हमने रिग्रेशन लाइन इस तरह से एस्टिमेट की है जो इसको मिनिमाइज करे। तो यू हैड क्या है हमारा, एक्चुअल y माइनस वाई हैड, दिस इज द y है। तो सिंपली मीन इज दैट अगर एक लाइन मेरी यहाँ से है, एक ये है, तो इनमें से ये वाली एक लाइन है जो आई थिंक दिस वन, जो इस गैप को मिनिमाइज कर रही है, राइट। मिनिमाइज क्यों चाहिए, बिकॉज इफ यू वांट टू टेक डिसीजन अपॉन दिस बेस्ड अपॉन दिस रिग्रेशन लाइन, तो इसके आसपास तो होनी चाहिए ना एक्चुअल सिचुएशन, ताकि हम उस पर रिलाई कर सकें। अब इस लाइन पे तो हम रिलाई नहीं कर सकते, इस पे भी रिलाई नहीं कर सकते, तो हम इसको मिनिमाइज करते हैं। व्हेन वी मिनिमाइज दिस रेजिडुअल हाइट स्केल, इसको ही हम मिनिमाइज कर रहे थे, राइट, दैट इज ओवरलेस। एमएलई में क्या है, मैक्सिमाइज। आप सोचो कि मैक्सिमाइज किसको करेंगे, अगर हम इसको मिनिमाइज कर रहे थे और इसमें हमने, ये सेम है, कोई डिफरेंस नहीं है दोनों में, इसमें हमने मैक्सिमाइज करना है। मीन्स इन ये जो स्टेप्स हम करते हैं, जैसे इसमें हम कर रहे थे समेशन यू हैड स्क्वायर, फिर हम क्या करते हैं, जो मिनिमा की फर्स्ट ऑर्डर कंडीशन होती है विद रिस्पेक्ट टू जीरो, उससे हम नॉर्मल इक्वेशंस लेते हैं, और नॉर्मल इक्वेशंस को सॉल्व करके हमारे पास क्या आते हैं, हमारे पास हमारे बीटा एस्टिमेट्स आते हैं, राइट। ये प्रोसेस एमएलई में भी सेम है, बस इक्वेशन चेंज हुई है, यहाँ इक्वेशन कुछ और है, बट यहाँ तो मिनिमाइज कर रहे थे, यहाँ मैक्सिमाइज करना है। आप जस्ट थिंक कि मैक्सिमाइज किसको करना है। यार दैट्स ट्रू, मिनिमाइज द डिफरेंस बिटवीन रियल एंड एस्टिमेटेड वैल्यू, मतलब किसको मैक्सिमाइज करना है, किसको, अब जस्ट थिंक कि किसको मैक्सिमाइज करेंगे। वो सॉरी शिवा सर, शिवा sir, in OLS we have minimized this residual sum of square. Now in MLE we have to maximize, but my first question is now which thing we are going to maximize. Methodology is same. In OLS we had minimized it, then at the first order condition equivalent to zero, we solved those equations and we estimated the beta estimates. Now here in place of minimizing, we are going to maximize. That's the only difference between OLS methodology and MLE methodology. Probability of observations in data set, the owning the no Rima. We are nearby that, but it's not that. कि हमने we are not, we are unbiased. These methods are unbiased. It's not that they are biased. Research needs to be for specific outcomes. That's not a case. That's not a case in any of these methods. Okay, just read this statement, you will get this answer. If they had explained here, then I don't know. Yes, the probability of observing the given bias, just this line, this is the maximum. Probability of observing the given bias is as high as possible. For the sake, Rima, just don't think in terms of 1 and 0. This MLE method is not designed for only this binary outcomes. It's just think that y is maybe a quantitative variable or qualitative. That's not a concern here. So just forget that thing. Let's suppose y is a quantitative. Means this MLE method is not only designed for this qualitative dependent only. That's indirectly we are using because we have this nonlinear problem. So we don't have any other option. But this is not designed for that thing only. So now this line is The probability of observing the given voice is as high as possible. I hope you got now this answer. Pallavi, can you explain now that what we are going to maximize here? Probability of getting Y. Okay, how? Yeah, you are true. Again, read this time. Probability of observing given word, given voice is as high as possible. These are the given voice, right? The actual data. These are the given voice. We need a regression line which maximize the chances of these given voice. Means again we need a regression line. Let's put this is my regression line. Now what maximize is that we have a regression line in such a way that the probability of getting these given y's is maximum. When it will be maximum when this regression line is nearby these points, right? Then only this will be the maximize, that whatever the actual values we have, we need regression line in such a way that we maximize probability of these given y's. So that's the same thing, just a reciprocal. Minimize the residual or maximize the actual y. That's the same thing. In both the cases, what we are going to do? We are minimizing this gap, right? If we say we need to maximize the probability of given y's, it's the same thing we say that minimizing the probability of these residuals. Both are the same thing. Are you getting this point? When we have a maximized probability of the given y's, when we have a regression line nearby those actual points, so that's the same thing, minimizing the residual term. Go and read this book. Means this Emily method. I think I had done this in 2011 or 12. But this explanation means in actually in theoretical form, I understood after 4 or 5 years when I had read these different textbooks again and again, that what actually it means is that this is the same thing actually, the reciprocal of the orders, that here we are saying in form of residual and here not in form of residual, but the actual y itself. So both will be give us the, we need a regression line. That's why if you know this property, these MLE normal equations and OLS normal equations will give equal estimates if sample size is sufficiently large. These estimates are equal. They won't differ in results in MLE and OLE if your sample size is sufficiently large. And the reason is that because they have a same methodology in the background. MLE again. Okay. Who will explain again? Yamini is here. Yamini, can you explain again to Tanya if you got this point? I think Yamini already left. Okay, Tanya. Let's put this is OLS. This is MLE. Before running any econometric model, but we have actual data, right? And that data is nearby mean values. So let's suppose we have this data, actual data, y dependent variable and x independent variable. In OLS methodology, what we had done is that we need regression line in such a way this is our regression line, and to draw a regression line, what we need this estimate, right? Now, how we estimated these estimates? We estimated in OLS methodology where we minimize this summation units, right? We minimized it because this is the gap between actual value and our regression predicted value. So if we want to use any forecasting or any results, then definitely we need it nearby actual values. Then only we can rely on this regression line. And generally we say it passes through the mean. And this is the average result. It's not that all the levels of x have equal values in this regression line only. There are different values, right, at every level. But regression line generally pass through their averages. So on an average, generally we use this term in interpolations. But we need at least that will be representative of all the points. So that's only when we have this minimum gap. Minimum gap is of this actual y and predicted y hat, that is our residual. So we minimized it. And with minimization process, we estimated beta 1 and beta 2 hat with the normal equations. If it's more than one independent variable, you can use matrix method, but the process will remain same. Methodology is the same. In MLE, it's not that we have a residuals, but what we are doing is that we need a regression line in such a way that maximizes probability of these given y's. What these values are, these are actual y's, right? Y1, Y2, Y3, Y4. So we want to maximize this probability of given y's. So again, we need a regression line that maximize. When it will maximize? When it will be near these actual y's, right? Then only it will maximize. That's why this is my another regression line. Here it might be maximizing for these points, but for all these points, it's not maximizing, right? So we need results for all the parts, not only for this specific part. So there are n combinations, but there is only one combination which in aggregate maximize this outcome. So that we say MLE, maximum likelihood estimation. And this is generally we use in probability form. Well, this is not in a probability form, but MLE is in a probability form. So now we are going to use this method because it can also deal with the non-linear. It's not that ML is only for non-linear. No, you can use for linear and non-linear as well. And ultimately, if your sample size is sufficiently large, both the methods will give you same normal equations. If you can go by this derivation, and in the end, you will find that normal equations in MLE method as well, they are similar to the OLS method. So there is no difference in beta values, these estimates, if your sample size is sufficiently large. then MLE and OLS will give same results. But the another advantage with the MLE is that we can also use it in a non-linear parameters. So in this case, where we have this regression equation, the problem is that it's a non-linear in parameter. So we can't apply OLS method. So alternative, we have a MLE. But now theoretically, you can understand both. The purpose is both for same method, for both the methods. They are minimizing this gap. In first, we are trying to minimize the residual. In second, we are trying to maximize this actual values, probability of getting this actual values. That's only possible when regression line passes through these averages. Then only it will be possible, otherwise it's not possible. So that's the MLE method, the theory behind the MLE method. Now, how this method will work, I think this is this theoretical part is clear to now everyone. That's what MLE and what MLE do. What's the idea behind the MLE method? And these are the only thing as a researcher I find that we have to know, because if in future you are going to teach, if you teach only this formula and equations, even if they are hard, I know these are not easy that these equations we solve and give these derivations, but there is no purpose if you don't know the idea behind those derivations. And that's what I found, that everywhere students are engaged in these derivations and softwares, but in the background they don't know actually what they are doing. It's like just in a rat race. Yes, we are running, just running. We don't know where we want to run and why we are running. Okay, so for method, MLE, what MLE will do, MLE take this specific equation. This equation, more or less, you are familiar with this equation in the standardized. If you remember, standardized normal distribution method we used in normal distribution. If we want to know the probability in a normal distribution, this is the equation, right? Only the change is here. Here actually you have x minus mu. That x minus mu, in place of x minus mu, now we have y minus this specific our regression equation. That's the only change here we have. Now why this equation? Actually, this equation is a joint probability density function. Joint probability density function about what? We have these outcomes for every individual, right? So if we want to know the joint probability density function, and that's what we want to maximize. Means like it is same actually. But I found ये सारी explanation बहुत easy है. I also have these complaints to my teachers as well. अगर वो इसको simple से बता देते इसमें problem थी ही नहीं. U hats, this is what summation U hats here, right? Now, if you want to do a summation in probability, then probability is not summation that I can add x1, x2, x3. No. In probability, summation is a joint probability functions. Means summation in probability is different than the simple summation. So OLS is not a probability function. So what we do in a summation U hats here, what we do this, we calculate for all the individuals. Let's suppose we have 4, 5, 6 individuals. So first individual, y minus y hat means its actual y value minus this estimated y, that these values we have to put here, and then we take this square and this summation U hat square, and this is what we minimize, right? Now here we have to maximize, but maximize we need this aggregate value. Now in probability, aggregate value is not simple summation, it is a joint probability density function. So this is the equation after doing this all joint probability density function. So these are the values for all the individuals. You have y0, if you have y equal to 1. So if we multiply all this is y1, y2, y3, and yn, means depend upon the sample size. We have a value for all the individuals, right? So if you take its joint probability density function, That's the equation for MLE. Now we have to maximize this particular equation. In place of minimize, now we have to maximize this equation, and that we do with the likelihood function. And to solve this equation, simple is just take a log in both the sides. This equation will become in this particular pattern. You can just try this derivation today. It's given in a Gujarati, so I'm not doing it. And same like in the OLS, we are doing it equivalent to 0 to estimate first order derivation. And if you can solve these equations, you will get same normal equations which we got in the OLS case. And we did this derivation, right? After this step onward, the other steps are same as in the OLS. The only change in MLE is that the method that here we are maximizing, and since it is in a probabilistic form, so it's not a simple summation U hat square type of thing. It's a joint probability density function, and this is the equation for joint probability density function. So what we have to do, we have to only solve this equation. So first, make it more simplistic form, we take log on both sides. We break this long equation in these three parts, and this part we already done, right? And when we do this derivation with respect to 0, then these terms will already, these are the constant parts, they are not in this equations. So in end, we will get same equations which we have in the OLS methods. So this is a MLE method, maximum likelihood method. So this is your homework. Just try this equation. It might help you that maybe in future you have to explain this method to anyone. Just solve these equations. This equation, same equation that we use in simple probability to find the probability normal distribution. Only here in place of x minus mu, it is y minus, and this is the thing we are trying to maximize, right? Y minus, this gap we are maximizing. Remember, this is a residual. Actual y minus y hat is what? This is a residual. So probability of observing actual y that we are now going to maximize. So whether it's a case of minimization or maximization, first order condition will remain same, that is equivalent to 0. And then in the end, you have this estimates beta 1 and beta 2 with these two normal equations. So this is a MLE method. So this method now we are going to use in case of this logistic distribution function because it is a nonlinear. Now I think you have this idea why we are using this MLE method here. So tomorrow I'll continue from here that we have one or two extra steps here to make it more in a simplistic form. Now the remaining challenge is here only one solution. Now if I can explain this derivation with MLE for these equations, I can give you the solutions for this beta 1 and beta 2. But the thing is, problem here lies with the interpretation that how we interpret these results, because these beta 1 and beta 2s are here like 1 plus exponential raised to power. So let's suppose you have a beta 2 point something. So how you explain this outcome, that if x is increased by 1 unit, then how much is the change, what is the probability of this particular outcome, let's suppose owning a house or not owning a house, or whether that individual participate in my course or not. So how we explain this thing, this explanation is not simple with this equation because it's not a one-to-one linear equation. So we need some adjustments here, and that for that we have two methods, either margins we can calculate or we can work with odds ratio. So tomorrow I'll do this explanation for this part. So I'll continue from here. Tomorrow first we do odds ratio, because after even estimating this beta 1, beta 2, one problem remain here, that is a interpretation of these results. So for that the solution is OR. That's the last part of this logistic model. So just in brief, what we have done today, in case of qualitative dependent variables, simple OLS is not appropriate because of the four challenges it was. First, non-normality of residual term, value between we need between 0 and 1, because if dependent variable is binary 0 and 1, that's also we need. Second, heteroscedasticity is the problem, and R square is not a measure of goodness of fit. So to overcome these challenges, one of these major challenges, we take a help of cumulative distribution, then distribution function. And this function we use as logistic distribution function. And in logistic this distribution function, the problem is that parameters are non-linear. So non-linear parameters are not possible to estimate with OLS methodology. So we use MLE method. But in this process, in logistic distribution function, another problem is that interpretation of the results, that how after even estimating results with the MLE method, how we interpret these results. So to overcome this specific problem, we take a help of odds ratio. So we estimate results with MLE and we interpret results by changing those results in form of odds ratio. So these are the two methodological important parts in this logistic distribution function, logic model. So I hope, okay, in this process, CDF function equation, we are not driving, we are using it. So means these are the tricks or solutions for specific problem. So we are using this. For non-linearity of parameters, we are using MLE method. And for interpretation problem, we are going to use odds ratio. So these three tricks are there in a logistic distribution functions that you have to understand that how this logistic distribution function will work. So this is logistic distribution function. So tomorrow I'll try to explain these two parts of this equation that we have started. 1 upon this equation, 1 upon 1 plus exponential raised to power minus zi for probability of given a y equal to 1 given the xi. Okay, so I think this is more than enough for today. Tomorrow I'll work it. So your homework for today is this MLE method you have to understand. Second, I suggest you just Google it. What is cumulative distribution function? This is something like where we have results in a specific range. So these two informations will be quite useful for all of you, that how these are helping us in this specific qualitative dependent variable. Okay, so thank you so much for being patient with you. I know sometimes it might be tired, or if you lose some track in some very, because these are many steps, right? But on the other side, just try to understand my limitation. For me, it's not easy that remember all these steps one by one. Means this is, I am also trying to improve myself in these methods. That how can I explain you these methods with much more clarity, so that after doing this course, you can't say this thing that yes, I did this last year or last to last year, but now I don't remember anything out of that. That's the challenge I have. So I'm trying to give you more explanation, and my main concern is with the theoretical explanations. Softwares we have, just we have to run a command, software will give us the results. But the important thing is that background of these methods. Odds ratio. Tomorrow we will do odds ratio. What is odds ratio, and how this odds ratio will help us to interpret our results. These are the two problems. Like this non-linearity is the problem, and this interpretation is the problem in this logistic distribution function. So these are the two solutions. For non-linearity, ML is the solution. For interpretation, one of the solution is odds ratio. It's not the only solution. Margins are also the solutions, but I prefer odds ratio. And tomorrow I explain you these things with the odds ratio. So as I start giving you this example, these are actually odds ratio. This is the EPW paper. So these results are in the odds ratio. They applied this logit model, but explained these results in a odds ratio. Okay, so source for today, this Gujarati. Then yeah, for this is sufficient for today's. Just try to understand MLE and CDF function. Okay, thank you so much. Anyone, any doubt or anything you want to discuss or ask, then you are welcome.